A West African court has ordered for the immediate release and reinstatement of ousted Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum. The ECOWAS court said Bazoum's family, who have been detained with him, should be freed too. Niger did not immediately respond to the verdict. Meanwhile, Niger's military leaders have reportedly agreed to terms and conditions for a transition back to civilian rule. Togo's Foreign Minister Robert Dassey said he had reached an agreement, quote, on the content and timing of the transition with Niger's junta. Togo is one of 3 West African countries mediating Niger's transition back to civilian rule following a July military coup. The country has been under crippling economic sanctions since then. The Economic Community of West African States suspended trade and even floated the option of military intervention. Niger's military leaders always maintained that the transition would happen, but conceded it could take up to 3 years. However, the regional bloc demanded a short transition period before any penalties were eased. Niger is now expected to present its transition plan to these mediating states. Let's now discuss these developments with Kabir Adamu, a regional security expert with expertise on West Africa and the Sahel region. He joins us via Zoom from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us, Kabir. So good news coming out of Niger with the ruling military agreeing to terms and conditions of a transition back to civilian rule. What does this mean?
It is progress. Since the July coup and the sanctions that have been imposed on Niger, the consequences have been really dire for the country. So this is really progress. And even though the terms are not yet public, we do hope it's within a period that will be acceptable to ECOWAS. And of course, that would lead to the lifting of the sanctions and to allow humanitarian aid to reach Nigerians.
On the flip side, the ECOWAS Court of Justice has ordered for Bazoum's immediate release and reinstatement. What can we expect in the coming days, especially from both Niger, the junta and the leadership, the ECOWAS leadership?
Well, in the aftermath of the December 10th meeting in Abuja, ECOWAS meeting in Abuja, the Nigerian military head of state did indicate his concerns. He talked about the hosting of several cabinet ministers in Abuja and the fact that they were allowed to represent Niger at that meeting. He indicated that one of his concerns is that if Bazoum is freed, then if essentially ECOWAS may end up recognizing him as a president in exile, and so effectively truncating the coup, as it were. But then a few days ago, ECOWAS recognized that there was indeed a coup d'etat and a new government in Niger. So that fear has been concerned. So summary, progress is being made. What remains is for discussions between the two sides to reach an amicable understanding that would allow the return of democracy to Niger. Of course, the ECOWAS has suspended Niger's membership, so it makes the discussion a little bit difficult. But this news coming out from the president of Togo is quite cheering, as it were.
Right, and we also know that Niger's military leaders had maintained that the transition could take up to, well, they said 3 years. That's a much longer time than what we are seeing now. So do you consider this a win for ECOWAS?
Yes, definitely. The fact that they are discussing with the president of Togo, the fact that the ECOWAS court has ruled in favor of ECOWAS, as it were, I think all of this are playing into ECOWAS's hand. Now, whether the Nigerian junta will respect the requirements or the rulings of this court is another thing that I would say. Unfortunately, we haven't seen in the past where member states have respected the rulings of this court. And sadly, the courts and ECOWAS, as it were, does not have the types of influence to exercise over its member states.